Hey, sister girl.
Hey, sister girls.
Welcome back, everybody. We're starting with G. I'm getting ready to click the button.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a brand new episode of Hey Sister Girl. It's a brand new month, and we're done starting over. Okay? This time, we're starting strong. We're going to stay strong, and we're building a real momentum. So if you've been stuck in the cycle, confused about what to do in your kitchen, falling off when life gets tough or busy, or you just don't even know what to ask your doctor, you've been watching us online, you've been listening to what we've been saying. Some of you have even met us, and you said, you know what, I'm ready to start. Well, this is the show for you. We're going to give you real, come on, no fluff. That's not us. No fluff tools. You're going to restart your health here in May. You're going to figure out, you're going to learn what to throw out of your kitchen. You're going to learn how to stay carnivore on the go and what labs to ask for with your doctor. And I'm so excited because we got a special guest that's here in my place, right? It's Terry. And she's been walking this journey and she's going to show you how to stay strong in carnivore. Listen to this. When you're traveling, wait till you hear her story. Eating out or just living life. So sis, if you ready, to stop surviving and start healing, this is the show for you. All right? So stay tuned and let these ladies take you away. Enjoy.
All right. That was awesome. Well,
Oh,
we
D.
first want to welcome Terry. Hey, Terry.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing good. We are doing
Good.
good. We're so glad to have you here tonight. So, we're talking about May is for momentum tonight, and I want to talk a little bit about getting started. I know that there are many new carnivores out there, and so we want to talk to you tonight about how to get started. So I'm going to show my screen. I got a little slide deck tonight, so I will share my screen. So, my top topic tonight has to do with the kitchen and why the kitchen matters. So, because carnivore starts in the kitchen. Even if you want to take out the word carnivore and talk about eliminating sugar starts in the kitchen. And so, as we're getting started with that, like it can be pretty confusing. I know a lot of times the question that I get is, what can I eat? What am I going to be able to eat? I had multiple people that started carnivore. I'm so excited and so thankful. Started carnivore this week. And the
Yay.
question is, okay, so what am I going to be eating? Well, first of all, it doesn't have to be confusing. I definitely did not grow up eating this way. We ate all the boxed and bagged and all the different foods that come off the middle of the grocery store aisles and thought that that was normal. So don't be overwhelmed. It's not going to be overwhelming. We can just say that you are not alone in trying to figure out what to eat. But your kitchen can be your sanctuary or your sabotage. And if you just look at this screenshot, it's like a side by side of a carb kitchen versus a non-carb kitchen. I'm going to call that tall jar in the background some beef tallow. so, um, so we got beef tallow, we got butter, eggs, and drink you some water. Of course, we're going to eat some meat as well. So let me see if I can get this thing to scroll down. So here's why the kitchen matters, because we didn't grow up eating this way, right? And so we need to relearn what it looks like to eat a healthy way of eating, have a healthy way of eating. And this change does start at home. A lot of times I find that it's better for a person who's eliminating sugar, whether you want to call it eliminating sugar, I'm calling my team sugar busters. and or carnivore, ketovore, whatever it is where you're reducing your carbohydrate intake, it really starts at home, because you're going to find that a lot of times when you're going out to eat, it's challenging to get the food the way you want it. So you want to create a kitchen space that supports your healing journey. And then also your kitchen is going to reflect your future health. So if you look in your cabinets today and see what you have inside and think about that being a reflection of the health and vitality that you will have in the future, what do you see when you look in there? Are you seeing things that are high sugar, high carbohydrate foods that are not going to give you the health and vitality that you're looking for? Or are you seeing, if you're in a carnivore kitchen, you're probably not going to see that many canned goods. You're not going to see that many packages of food or things like that. So that environment is going to shape your future self. So we're going to talk a little bit about, getting rid of some things. So some things that you may want to consider eliminating out of your low sugar kitchen. First of all, seed oils. So seed oils are things like vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, and corn oil. And these are very inflammatory products. In fact, these seed oils were never designed for human consumption. They are designed to grease up motors. And I think they found that it could be eaten, and the impacts of that really were not seen very fast or very soon after we incorporated seed oils into our diet. But we see it now, where these seed oils are very toxic to our bodies. So I would say if you have seed oils in your cabinet or cupboard in your pantry, you need to toss that out. And you need to consider switching over to something like ghee, butter, beef tallow, lard, some meat-based saturated fat. And, they said that saturated fat was bad for us. Well, that just turned out to be wrong. Seed oils are really toxic. So you're going to want to just toss those right on out of your cupboard pantry. Hidden sugars. So, there's hidden sugars in everything. So you look at things that end in the word "ose," and those are sugars. So, and then dextrins like maltodextrin. Um, there's lots of syrups and things like that. So those things are sugars. I'm going to be showing you guys a box that I happen to have in my cupboard, in my pantry. And so things that are labeled keto. So I started keto before they came out with all of these different foods that are labeled keto. But if you think about what keto means, it means something that will allow you to stay in ketosis, right? And will not give you an insulin spike. You want to be able to remain in ketosis. Well, a lot of these keto treats and keto snacks are loaded with a lot of additives and fillers. I'm going to read you one in just a little bit. But yeah, so things that are labeled keto are probably not that good. I would recommend that you just toss those out. And then, so I don't really have a problem with processed meats, but I do want to think about ingredients. So when you're looking at things that are processed, and I'll give you the example because I love hot dogs and I do eat a lot of hot dogs. I look for the cleanest hot dog that I can find that has the less ingredients and hopefully does not incorporate sugar. So something like a ballpark frank, I don't eat that anymore. But I will eat a hot dog that has very few ingredients and also has like zero carbohydrates is in it. And so those are the things that you want to consider. So I'm not saying throw away all of your processed meats. I'm saying look at the ingredients and see what's in there. And then you can make a determination on whether or not you want to keep that in your way of eating or if you want to just get rid of it. Some of those sugary meats will cause cravings. So, if it has a lot of sugar in it, you might want to consider throwing it away because it's going to cause you to have cravings. So, yes, throw that away. All right, let's go to the next one. So here's the thing. Here's what we want to do. We want to keep it simple. And that's the thing about carnivore, that I think that all of us who have tried carnivore and have gone carnivore have found that it is super simple. It can be as simple as you like. And so you want to do your quality proteins. Beef, beef is the top of the line as far as I'm concerned. It's the most satiating, the most satisfying. So I love a steak. I had a steak for dinner, but I had a ground beef burger for breakfast with bacon. And also, you may want to incorporate some organ meats. My body tells me when I need some liver, because I'll be like, all of a sudden, I just got a taste for it. And I don't have a taste for it every day. So, you'll kind of know. So your simple staples are eggs, seafood. If you can tolerate chicken, a lot of people start out with chicken in and then they remove it later because they find that they can't tolerate it. I also want to mention cheese, because cheese is definitely a thing that a lot of people use and can use until you find out that you can't tolerate that anymore. And of course, the healthy fats I just mentioned: butter, ghee, tallow, suet. So suet is beef fat. And so when you go to your grocery store and you're looking for beef fat, and I'm going to mention this because all of our Marco Polo group have all started eating beef fat bites. I think DeNitra started a trend because she went to the store and she got this beef fat. So another word for that is suet. So if you go to your grocery store and they're like, what? You can just say suet. They'll know exactly what that is. You cut that up into bite-sized pieces, bake it or fry it or put it in your air fryer and eat that. And it's so satiating. It's so satiating. Everybody in the Marco Polo group is just going to town on the beef fat these days. And I feel like more beef fat allows you to release weight. Surprisingly enough, as I eat beef fat, eat more beef fat, my body is allowed to release more weight. So that's pretty awesome. And then, of course, you want some good quality salt. So we do recommend Redmond real salt, but you can also go to the grocery store and get some sea salt. You can get some pink Himalayan salt, get the Celtic or Celtic salt, and use a good salt. So that's pretty much it. It's like meat, eggs, fat, salt, and water. That's pretty much it. Keep it simple. All right, so here's a label that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we want to be able to read labels. DeNitra, tell us what the name of the label reader is again.
Informed Ingredient Inspector. It's an I3. Informed Ingredient Inspector. I3.
Yeah. All right. So DeNitra always tells us that when you look at your label and it has nutrition facts on the back, on the front, there's some sort of lie. So this is the box of keto-friendly chocolate chip cookies that I had in my pantry. It's probably been in there for about 6 or 8 months because my husband wanted this, and so I bought it, and then I couldn't bring myself to make it. So the ingredients are almond flour, allulose, erythritol, inulin. So those three, allulose, erythritol, and inulin, are all sweeteners. Almond flour is something that I, don't tolerate. Don't eat it on my carnivore way of eating. Then it's got unsweetened chocolate, coconut flour, rice bran extract, resistant dextrin, and then less than 2% of cocoa butter, salt, natural flavors. We know that when you put natural flavors on there, that could mean a myriad of things. It could really mean almost anything, natural flavors. Soy lecithin, and then it's got steviol glycosides, sodium bicarbonate, whole milk powder, xanthan gum, stevia, and vanilla extract. So I mean, literally, I probably would have eaten this when I was on keto. But when I look at the long list of ingredients, the list of ingredients is too long. I really feel like the less ingredients that you see on the back of something, the better. Preferably one ingredient. One ingredient is going to be the best. But then I wanted to just talk about how many carbohydrates, because if you look here, it says it's 2 grams of carbohydrates per serving. On the side, it tells me that the total carbs is 13 grams. So this thing, net carbs that they're talking about right here, that's not a real thing. That is not real. So don't ever consider a net carb, because a net carb is not a real thing. It has 13 carbs per serving, or approximately 3 teaspoons of sugar per serving. And as we've been talking about over and over again, your body can only tolerate 1 teaspoon per day. So I would not recommend that you eat this. So the front label tells us the lie. There's the lie right there, 2 grams of net carbs. And then the back of the label, the side here, tells us what the facts are. The ingredients are there. So learn how to read your labels and understand that every 4 carbohydrates is a teaspoon of sugar. All right. So we want to build a new life with new ingredients, right? So our environment shapes our habits. As I said, when you look into your pantry, you can look in there and see your future health and vitality based on what you see there. So your foundation is what you're going to find in your pantry, what you're going to find in your cabinets, what's in your refrigerator, and the things that you are allowing in. The next thing is going to be that consistency. Being consistent with your way of eating, and making those changes. And then on top of that is healing. Your body is going to thrive on the simplicity of the carnivore diet. It really will. I mean, you're going to start to see inflammation reduction, and so many people are healing all manner of diseases and issues with a carnivore way of eating. So build your new life with new ingredients, starting with the kitchen, eating meat, and making your home a place of healing and not temptation. So here's a challenge for you guys, from me, to choose a space to empty out and eliminate some things, remove those triggers. Number 1 is get rid of those seed oils. Like, you need to dump that and start using some good, healthy oil. If you are afraid to use the beef tallow, go ahead and use some butter. Use some butter, but the seed oils should go. You shouldn't even like give it away or share it with anybody. You should just throw it in the trash. And then stock your place with real foods. Replace with your meat-based staples that we just talked about. And then, of course, you can let us know at our Hey Sister Girl on Facebook how that is coming along. All right, so that is in talking about the kitchen, and I am going to turn it over to Terry, and she's going to talk to us about being a carnivore on the go.
Hi, everybody. It's Terry from My Terrific Life. And it's My Terrific Life is because I've learned to be carnivore on the road. I am constantly moving about. If I'm not flying, I'm taking road trips. So here's some tips on how to travel and stay carnivore. No lie, it's not easy at first, because just like Robyn says, we didn't grow up this way, right? So because we didn't grow up this way, road trips was the time that we allowed ourselves to eat all the junky foods, at least in my family. We got the chips, we got the cookies, we got the candy bars, all the things that we knew we shouldn't be eating. But it's a road trip, right? That's why we had it. So that was the first mindset that I had to change, is I didn't need all that in my car as I'm driving. I definitely didn't need to carry all that stuff in the airport and go through security. Number 1, that's cumbersome. You don't need to do that. So what I do now is I'll carry purse bacon, and I'm sure you've heard the ladies talk about purse bacon. Bacon in a purse in a little baggie. Trust me, it works. And the other thing I've done at an airport is take like little meat sticks and cheese sticks. And a quick funny story, one time I did that. I was headed to New York with a group of friends, and I pull out my little meat sticks, and I'm looking at my friends. I'm like, y'all want something? Oh no, that's okay. It ended up we had a delay, and they asked me, hey, you got any of those extra meat sticks? I'm like, yeah, I can share. Because you try to make sure I try to make sure I had enough for going and coming on the trip. But yeah, meat sticks, cheese, purse bacon, those things are easily transferable in an airport, because you do have to have everything scanned and stuff. So if you can have things that are pre-wrapped or wrapped up, not pre-wrapped, but wrapped up, that's a lot easier in the airport. On road trips though, sky's the limit. I have prepped where, depending on how many days I'm going to be gone, that's how many pieces of meat or snack that I take. I have taken ribeye on the road. I have taken ground beef on the road. I've even taken chicken wings on the road. I do suggest that you make sure your food is cooked, and get a cooler. I travel with a cooler in my car. I now have two. I have a soft-sided one for my butter and things like that. And then I have a hard-sided one for like my water or stuff that I want to stay colder longer. Get you some ice packs, and you pack your meat, and I'll go ahead and pre-slice like my ribeye. And that way, as I'm driving along, and I meant to bring it in here with me. In my granddaughter's room. That's why I look like a princess today, her princess room. But I take my little Redmonds and I sprinkle it on my meat, and I reach over there and I pinch it and I eat it as I drive along. I don't have to worry about stopping anywhere. If I stop for gas, and if they have something like a hot dog or something and I don't have enough, or I want something different, then of course you can get a hot dog at a gas station or something. But for the most part, Terry has her hamburger or her ribeye with her at all times in the car. So that's how I travel. And now I am carrying meat bites or fat bites with me because the other thing you got to remember, as a carnivore, you're not as hungry as when you ate all those carbs. So a steak and some fat bites, that will take you on a 6-hour trip with no problem. And another thing, real quick to add, if you don't prep enough, you always have McDonald's, you always have Wendy's, and now there's so many carnivores out there, or ketovores. They are able to cater to us. All you have to say is, I want a meat patty. And at Wendy's, they'll ask you if it's the small meat patty or the large meat patty. On average, they run about $1.20 per patty. Order you 3 or 4 patties, and you should be good. Same way for McDonald's. I have not tried any other place, well, other than Hardee's. Hardee's does the same. To me, Hardee's is the most expensive. But yeah, just get you some meat patties. If you forget to, bring enough meat for yourself. But it's easier. It's so easy to do this on the road. Barbecue places are your friends. If you smile just right, a lot of times they'll give you that extra fat off a brisket for free on the side. If you just say, I'm a carnivore and I eat a lot of beef and I love the fatty parts. I've had so many people just hand me, hey, I'm going to get this for you, okay? And put the extra piece of fat on the brisket for me when I travel. So yeah, there's so many ways. Like Robyn said, this is really simple. It is really simple, but we tend to overthink it because that's the way our lifestyle used to be. But yeah, that's how I travel and stay carnivore. So you don't have to stop life. You don't have to stop going to events. Just prepare. That's the biggest thing. Prepare.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to go to DeNitra next. Come on, DeNitra.
Absolutely. That was all good. I just want to recap a couple of things that I heard you guys say. One is what I learned at the restaurants, I used to just go and say no bun, and I got charged the same thing as the sandwich. So I like how Terry is reinforcing that you want to ask for the patty versus saying the sandwich you want with no bun, because then they're going to charge you for the sandwich. The way Terry just taught us, you'll get charged for just the patty. And then Robyn mentioned salt and the types of salt. When you're out to eat, we're all I don't know the right word, but we are all salty, if you will, because we take our salt with us. Because most of the salts, Robyn mentioned OSE, the OSIS, most table salts in restaurants have sugar in them. So this is why they are not good at the table, because they have sugar in them. So my task tonight is to talk about lab work. Before I do that, I just want to always reinforce the goal here is for us to go from being insulin resistant to being insulin sensitive. Carnivore for us is not a fad, it's not a diet, it is a way of life, it is a way of healing, it is the proper way for us to fuel our body. And so many times you hear people say that food is medicine. What you hear me say often is that food is fuel. If you're not sick, you still need food and you still need fuel. So we're going to talk through this tonight because many of us, 93% of Americans, are metabolically unwell. That's the place that we all found ourselves. And so one of the first things you have to be able to do is admit that you're sick, that you're not well, that you need a change. Because otherwise, this would sound like we're just pushing a fad. We're pushing hey, this is a way to lose weight. And we're really deeper than that. And the deepness of it is that your body is not well. It is sick because of all of the carbohydrates that you have consumed, all of the carbohydrates that we have consumed. It is the root cause of why we are not well, because we weren't eating carnivore. We were avoiding red meat. We were avoiding eating fat. We were avoiding, not drinking drinks. We were doing all the things, and those things eventually caught up to us. And so tonight, the base place to start, because we've not been taught as women and men that food is, I call them food products, that food products have caught up with us. And because we've not uncovered that, when we are with our doctors, if we are diagnosed with something, they usually never, and I notice the word I said usually, they usually never tie it to the food. They usually are going to figure out your symptoms, do some type of search with your symptoms, and then give you a prescription. I have met several people who are on a blood pressure medicine, and no one has ever asked them about their insulin levels. I've met people who are having issues with their thyroid, and no one has asked about an insulin level or a blood sugar. All of these things fall under the umbrella of insulin resistance. It means that your insulin is overworking, trying to compensate for the more than teaspoon of sugar that you are consuming. Robyn keeps saying that to us. I keep saying it to us, is that the body can only manage a teaspoon of sugar. Anything over that causes insulin to spike, causes blood sugar to spike. And when you have these spikes and you still are giving yourself sugar, that sugar has to go somewhere, but no one is managing it. Insulin is no longer managing it. So this is how we develop inflammation in the knees, inflammation in the eyes. All of the issues that we are primarily dealing with are directly a manifestation of insulin resistance. So what lab work do you need? One of the first things that you need, and you hear this commonly, is the A1C. The A1C is going to be an average of your blood sugar over a 3-month period. Now, most doctors use a chart, and if you Google right now what's a normal A1C, what you're going to see is Anything below 5.6 and below, 5.7 to 6.3, we say that's pre-diabetes. And remember, I often say on here, don't let the pre fool you. Pre doesn't mean that you're in some safety zone. And then anything above a 6.5, 6.4, 6.6, that's considered being diabetic. When you're looking for insulin resistance, those numbers are a little bit more conservative, right? So 5.6, which is a 1/10 of a point from being pre-diabetic, is insulin resistance. It falls in the insulin resistance category. Anything above a 5-ish is giving you an indication of insulin resistance. Why is that important? Because we could solve for a lot of those chronic illnesses that we end up with if we're paying attention to the insulin resistance, paying attention to the blood sugar. So a lot of times when I'm working with clients, they're so excited when they call me after getting their labs and their A1C is in the green range. They're like, oh, my A1C is normal. My doctor said I was good. He said everything was great. He's so proud of me for getting it down. And I just kind of breathe. And I ask them, do you want a D or F? Let's just go to school. Right? Because that's really what we're talking about here when we start talking about these numbers. And then the bigger picture that I try to layer on that is even in the normal, even in the not diabetic range, you are still insulin resistant if you're in that 5.5, 5.6 range. That means that blood sugar is still running high. What's another thing you want to look at is a fasting insulin. Again, most doctors are not doing a fasted insulin. You have to be direct. This is where we talk about advocating for yourself. You have to self-advocate for yourself and say to your doctor, I would like a fasting insulin. This is important because remember, the job of insulin is to keep the blood sugar and put the sugar where it needs to go. So if insulin is overworking, or there's excessive insulin, then that's an indicator. But if doctors are not checking for that insulin number, then you leave out with this normal number. Really what you left with was that you're not diabetic yet. Stay with me. You're not diabetic yet. Okay? You leave with that number and you go on doing the same thing because in your mind, and I'm talking about is me, right? Because this was me. Right? You keep doing the same thing because the doctor said you ain't diabetic. So you still good. So whatever you've been doing, it hasn't made you diabetic. So I must be doing okay. Again, my question to you is, do you want to be okay? Or do you want to be excellent? Or do you want to be optimally healthy and healed? So you want to ask for a fasting insulin. That is going to give you an early marker of if you are dealing with insulin resistance. That is highly important. So remember, this is not just about diabetes. I'm talking to people who are the high blood pressure. You should know what your A1C is. They're directly connected. If no one's told you, I'm here to tell you tonight. Your thyroid issues, your PCOS, acid reflux, dementia, Alzheimer's, your eye issues that you're having, glaucoma, all of these things are related to your A1C and your insulin. Ask your doctor for those. Any ailment, arthritis, autoimmune issues. When I was diagnosed with autoimmune lupus, I also was dealing with prediabetes, which means that I had been running a high blood sugar for 10 years. So when the doctor was telling me that you have lupus, what I should have been told was that you've been running high blood sugar for 10 years. This is a manifestation of that. All right. So make sure you think about that. The other one is making sure that you know what your ferritin is. And this is going to give you a list of understanding how iron is storing in your body. What's the inflammation surrounding that? In your lipid panel, I want to stay right here just for a minute with your lipid panel, because LDL cholesterol has been labeled bad. And on the show tonight, and I got 2 witnesses, and many more people in the comments, that LDL cholesterol is not bad. It's actually really good for you. You need it. You should not be lowering it. It is a risk factor. It is not a disease. And it's only a risk factor if you have some other things going on, right? It's not a risk factor by itself. If everything else is clear, then you're good. Do your research on statins, because statins are not saving lives at all. Do your research. And your LDL doesn't need to be lowered. What you want to, in that lipid panel, that's a part of a lipid panel, the LDL cholesterol. In that lipid panel, what you want to understand is your triglycerides and your HDL. That is what you want to be taking a look at and what their ratio is. And the last one is making sure, I always think about an ANA, which is an anti-nuclear antibody test. It is the test that I first had that was an indicator of high inflammation in my body, which ultimately led to a lupus diagnosis. So that's another one that you want to ask for. Now, you ask, how often should you get your test done? I believe 3 to 6 months, especially with the A1C, every 90 days. Remember, the A1C is a 3-month average. And so you should see some change in 3 months. You can also do some things at home just by looking in the mirror, right? So I've named these labs that you need, and you may say, none of those are me. I'm good, right? Let me say this to you. Your waist circumference, it should be under 35. If it is over 35, that is indicative of insulin resistance. So let's just say we forget all of these labs. The waist circumference, where that visceral fat lives. I always say, if we turned ourselves inside out and really see the damage that we are doing to our organs, and notice I keep saying we, because I'm talking about me too. That is a strong indicator of insulin resistance, because that food, that sugar has had to be stored somewhere, and it starts with the organs first. So let me say this. When I'm working with my clients and they feel like they're not seeing a shift on the scale, right? In our Marco Polo group, we talk a lot about non-scale victories, because what has happened is over these 10, 15, 20 years that we've been consuming all of these carbohydrates, it has been piling up on our organs from the inside out. So before you even start to see a bulge, your organs are sick, very, very sick. So when we complain about what's going on with our waist area, and we are carnivore, we have to understand that that part is healing. That means that the organs are starting to release the fat and the inflammation around it. It may not show up on the outside yet. It may not show up on the scale yet, but the healing is happening. This is why we call this a healing protocol versus a diet, because your body is literally healing from all the inflammation that's been on it. So here's the thing. These numbers reflect your metabolic healing better than weight ever can. So you also want to look at your blood pressure. If you have a blood pressure at your house, a blood pressure cup, take your blood pressure. Your blood pressure should be 120/80 is in the normal range. So you want to make sure that you're not running high blood pressure, because remember I said earlier that many people are being treated for high blood pressure when what they really have is an insulin problem. And so tonight, you are getting some additional information so that when you are having a conversation with your doctor, you can talk intelligently to challenge just getting on meds. So what happens? You go to the doctor and your doctor says, all your numbers are good. or I'm really not worried about this, or I'm really not trying to get you to do anything. I just want you to watch it. And what I've learned is that watch it means you watch yourself develop a chronic disease if you don't make some changes. So have a conversation with your doctor about your health, right? You can say to your doctor, hey, I've been doing my own research. I'm really trying to be an advocate for myself. I'm getting older now. Hey, I'm 54, I'm 55. I believe I got 50 more years to go. I want to live them the best that I can. And so, I'm trying to take sugars out of my diet. I'm no longer eating things that cause me to be inflamed. Here are the labs that I would like for you to run for me, so that I can best understand them. So you want to have that kind of conversation. There should never be a time where the doctor, and G says this best, the doctor works for you, right? Your insurance pays the doctor. You pay the copay. You pay the premium. They are an employee in a sense, if we have to break it down to that. And I'm not trying to disrespect doctors. Mine is on this call tonight. Dr. Yvonne Moore joins us most Monday nights. And so this is not an attempt to be disrespectful. This is an attempt for you to be an advocate for yourself, where you don't silently sit by. Sometimes doctors miss things. I had a doctor try to put me on a cholesterol med until I stood up for myself. The doctor had never really heard of a CAC score until I brought it to him. Now, I'm sure he's doing that with more of his patients because it's more indicative of what's going on with your heart. And so let me say this, your body is always talking. You have to be a good listener so that you can take action and be an advocate for yourself and not sit by and let what's happening in your body be a mystery. You should understand why your eyes are darkening. Why do I have these additional skin tags? I remember having 3 or 4. Why do I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them now? Right? Why is my neck darkening? Why are my ankles swollen? All of these things are most likely tied to sugar. The one thing that we want you to remember on this call is that your body can only manage 1 teaspoon of sugar. Carbohydrates is a fancy name for sugar. And anything that is plant-based, anything that is made from plants is going to metabolize in your body as sugar. So when you think about the things that you're eating, Robyn went through some of the ingredients on a package. When you think about those things, all of those things, even though they had allulose, which we think is a pretty good sweetener, it had erythritol, which was a pretty good sweetener, it still had almond flour. This is why those 13 carbs are what you want to be counting versus those net carbs. The net carbs are because they're considering the fiber in there, but fiber is also going to metabolize in your body as sugar. And so tonight, let's transition back. Now that we covered what to eat, how to stay strong on the go, and how to track your healing, let's bring it home with some powerful encouragement. I'm going to turn this back over to Robyn.
All right. So I do want to just bring up a couple of our comments. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and drop those in the chat. But there was a couple comments that I wanted to just highlight during this conversation. So Mandel Harvey is here, and we're talking about seed oils, right? Seed oils are excellent for release agents on concrete forms. Chainsaw oil lamps, they're useful industrial oils. Seed oils are industrial oils for concrete work. Wheelbarrow handles, shovel handles, oil outdoor wood to make it water resistant. Oh, so he's saying that you don't necessarily have to throw it out. Use it in its appropriate place. So you can use it for a lot of different things, just don't eat it.
Great
So
point.
that is very true. Thank you so much. And then I have this issue too. So old people hand out candy in church. I am old. I hand out Aldi meat sticks. Kids behave way better with protein. I have to tell this story about my grandchild, and you guys might have a similar story. I want to switch this up. Sorry. where my grandchild, the day after Easter, she got suspended. She's in third grade. She got suspended because she just could not get herself together. Too much sugar. Like, I just can't even imagine her poor little body trying to get rid of all of that sugar that she had eaten the day before. So, yeah, give the kids something that their body can use instead of sugar. So, do you guys have any comment on this one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
go
uh,
ahead, Karen.
I was gonna say, yeah, as a former kindergarten teacher, we could definitely tell after the holidays of Christmas and Easter and Halloween. We always prayed that Halloween would fall on a Friday so we didn't have to deal with how the children behaved that next day. But children need protein. They are growing. Their little bodies need that. And they need fat. That's how their brains thrive. So,
Yes.
folks, stop handing kids these cookies and candies. And when kids think of treats, everything is sugary. Let's do some meat sticks. Let's do some chicken wings. Let's do something that's going to help them grow better. And I think that's a lot of why we have ADHD in the classroom now, too. We didn't have that before. Think about it. We didn't have that before. So, yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with you, Terry, that and Robyn, we are, getting these children up in the morning time. They're eating these big bowls of cereal.
Mhm.
They are, going to school, and the school is serving them what they're allowed to serve. So again, no diss to schools. We do know that the government has changed that. They have created in 5 years, all schools must lower sugar intake. I'm saying to parents when I'm coaching with them, why do you have to wait 5 years? If we know now that it's something wrong, and really, if I understand correctly, the reason why the government is giving 5 years is to give companies time to get prepared, right? But I have clients who are making these changes with their children now at all ages, 6 years old, 16 years old, recognizing that they're doing great for their body. And if they had known differently, so now they have an opportunity to do this with their children. Children never have to know sugar. We talked about cravings earlier, and the thing to understand is that you crave what you continue to get. So if you keep eating sugar, which is an empty nutrient, is no nutritional value in sugar. It's not required for the body. It is a non-essential macronutrient. If you know that, then you can start working with your children now, teaching them when you go to McDonald's that they can eat hamburger patties versus eating the bun. I tell my son, who will be 31, like, you can go to Five Guys, they'll make a bowl for you, and it is delish with just their patties. They will put it in a pan for you. There are many places that will do that for you. And so you can start that now with your children. We've been calling beef fat popcorn. I mean, it's something that if you want to snack on it, Robyn fixed it in a bag. I went to visit with her in Michigan, and I had a couple of bags of it. It was in my backpack. When I came home on the plane, Robyn had made me bacon. It almost didn't make it back to Tennessee, right? So these are the things that we want you all to start normalizing, that this is way okay, and you're going to be better, and you're going to see better from your student.
And one last thing, I have an 8-month grandbaby, and tonight we're doing our little Cinco de Mayo celebration, and her daddy made her meatballs. She tore those meatballs up. So babies crave what's natural for them, and that's meat. That's meat.
You know, that is so true. You think about when a baby is small and you give them vegetables, those jarred vegetables and what do they do when you try to stick that in their mouth? I mean, they're like having a visceral reaction to vegetables. Whereas
Smart children,
if you give them a chicken bone, they'll start
you
gnawing
got
on it
no problem.
down, no problem.
Yep. I saw one
And then
yesterday, Robyn, a little girl was eating a steak. Like, she literally had the whole steak in her hand. She was just gnawing and working the steak. So you're right about that. I forgot about those videos.
yep. And, we want our kids to be their best, and we're expecting them to be at their best. We're expecting them to be on their best behavior. How can they do that when they're all sugared up? You think about this. I always think about this commercial. The guy on the team out on the football field, and there's this old granny out there, and she's just crotchety, she's cranky, she's fussy, and then they give the guy a Snicker bar, and he turns back into a guy. So if we can't be at our best when we're all sugared up and having sugar highs and lows all the time, how can we expect our kids to be at their best either? So there was another question out here, and I did answer this, but I want to bring this up. So Paula is saying, no, you can't just grab a hot dog. Can you? Can you grab a hot dog?
Yeah, you can grab a hot dog. Now, what Robyn was saying was read the ingredients on the back when you're purchasing it for your home. But when you're out on the road, that's still the better choice.
It is.
That's still the better choice. Take the bun off and eat the hot dog.
Yep.
And you're
Go
good.
through the gas station, get you a hot dog.
Yeah. It may not be the best quality, but it's better.
Dr. Barry says it's less bad.
It's less bad. There you go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
Hot
better
dogs
than grabbing some chips, grabbing, eating the bun. I mean, you could just ask for 4 hot dogs. It would be better to have that process. Remember, meat is not ultra processed. It is processed. There is a difference. So here's the difference. Ultra processed is going to be all types of vegetables and plant-based and seed oils manipulated. It's like a chemistry project. So all that stuff that you see in the stores, that's on one side of this, that's in the center aisles of the store, all that's ultra processed stuff. And that stuff is horrible. There is no less bad for that. It is just horrible.
It's lab created.
A lab experiment, exactly. The processed meat, because there is some meat there, this is why we say it's less bad, because you are going to get some protein in there. It may have some sugar, it may have some chemicals. It is not going to be your first choice, but if you are in a situation where it is the only choice or the best choice over choosing something plant-based, even a salad, I would say this meat would fare better for you. So one last thing I want to say is that I put in there, because we were talking about lab work today, giving a shout out to Dr. Kim Berry and Nurse Kim Harrelton. They have a book called Common Sense Labs. I use this book faithfully, giving you all the tip tonight if you want to go to Amazon and order it. I tried to put the link on there, but it looked like it was still in a pre-order stage. You may find another one, Robyn.
I'm trying.
Okay. The Common Sense Labs will help you understand some of the lab work that's going to help you uncover insulin resistance and what your optimal labs. Remember, the one for the A1C is usually trying to determine if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, but you're also looking at, this may be why I have high blood pressure. This may be why I have glaucoma. This may be why I'm having some mental issues, because mental issues, they are also directly tied to how sugar is working. Remember, we've learned on this show that type 3 diabetes is a form of insulin resistance, and that is sugar of the brain. So there you go, Robyn.
Absolutely. So I did drop the link in there for Common Sense Labs, which you can pick up on Amazon. So, today it's May, right? First of all, it's going to be time to get that summer body on, right?
It's the catch-up time.
It's time to catch up.
I'm working on mine now.
Yes.
And, so we want you to know that we understand. We have been where you are. And, it's going to start in your kitchen at home. And then getting rid of some of those things that that are not serving you well. Dr. Moore, who is DeNitra's doctor, says, love the foods that love you. And this thing right here, this does not love anybody. It's toxic, and that's why it's still sitting in the cabinet. And I'm probably going to throw it away right after this show because I can't bring myself to feed it to my family. I just cannot bring myself to feed it to my family, knowing what it is, knowing that
Let
it's
me
toxic.
add this too, Robyn. So that's a question that I get often from my clients is, I'm going to give it away to somebody. I'm going to save it for when. Y'all, it is already waste. So it is now a waste that doesn't have to waste inside of you because it takes months. I mean, it takes years. I'm still working on. I don't even know where this bite right here came from over here on this side, right? What was it that I ate then that it ain't gone yet? So
Right
what I'm
here.
saying is go to the trash can and just dump the stuff. This is what I do with my clients. We do what's called a pantry purge. We get rid of it. Like just toss it. Don't give it away to somebody. Just toss it. I even have clients who are writing to their schools to talk to the school about even like a donut and dad day, right? Moms and muffins, all of these things that take us to a place of continuing to consume sugar. Like we make dates with sugar.
Yeah.
Halloween that Terry mentioned earlier or Robyn mentioned earlier. Like we don't have to do this. So I'm saying Robyn said throw it away, toss it, get rid of it.
Right. Absolutely. All right, Terry, do you want to give your wrap up?
Yeah, just a little bit. We just got to remember that healing doesn't stop just because we're on the move. The one thing about this way of eating is you want to be on the move. It gives you the energy and the vitality to go out and do the things. So whether you're traveling or just navigating life, your health is worth protecting. Set your goals, plan ahead, and stay ready. And I'm going to add one more caveat on top of that is find your community. Because no lie, I have been carnivore for a minute, but once I got in the Hey Sister Girl community, that's when I was able to fine tune even the way that I traveled as a carnivore. They gave me ideas I hadn't even thought of. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? And since that time, I believe I joined the group at the end of last year. Since that time, I've dropped 20 pounds.
Woo!
Just
Congratulations.
saying. And that's just the pound part. I can't tell you how vital I feel, how energetic I feel, how alive I feel, all the things. Okay. So, yeah, find your community and just remember you can do this. You can do travel. You can do life as a carnivore. You just have to plan it and think it through. Okay. DeNitra, you got anything else?
Yes, my wrap up is this is your health, this is your healing, your data, and it's your power. Ask the right questions, track what matters. I gave you a list of things you could track tonight, and then advocate for the life you want. Do not settle when it comes to your healing. Now, we would be interested in knowing what are your goals. You can drop them in the comments, and we can do this thing together because we're here because we are on this journey. This is not us up high looking low. This is why we're trying to build a community. All of us met because of Carnivore. None of us knew each other. We had not met each other in person. And as Terry said, a community makes a difference, and we have one that you can be a part of.
So I'm going to talk to you about leveling up on the community piece because we do have a Hey Sister Girl Facebook group, and we will be so happy to have you over there in our Hey Sister Girl group. But if you want to level up like Terry did, and I'm thinking about Marsha, who recently joined, and she was on the Hey Sister Girl group, and she said, I need more. I need more. And we have a Marco Polo group that we have that you can become a part of and get that leveled up community. And so there's no more guessing, no more going it alone, right? You've got tips, you've got truth, you've got your tribe. If you want to join the Marco Polo group, you can click join on my YouTube channel. You can also reach out to DeNitra. You can reach out to Terry. We'll figure out how to get you in there so that you can be a part of this community, be a part of this community that is, it's really just a leveled up. I have to be honest.
It is.
It's
It's made the
24/7
biggest
access. It's
difference.
constant. Yeah, it's talking and having somebody to listen to you all the time. So I want to make sure that you guys know that that is available. So what are you changing this month? It's a brand new month. Set your brand new goal. Get that. Come and join our walking challenge. 14,400 steps a day. And we would love to have you be a part of the walking challenge as well, to show your body that you are a mover and you're no longer a sedentary person. And I'm pushing it because I'm like, my goal for the month of March is to meet that every single day. I'm not March, May. The month of May is to meet it every single day this month. So yeah, that means I'm up marching, watching my shows at night.
I tried to, Robyn, put the link in there. I think I did too much. Let me just put this part. I think is all I need. If they already got the app on their phone for the challenge, for the walking challenge. And I also put that we do have a Hey Sister Girl Facebook group too.
Yes.
And anyone who's interested in joining the Marco Polo from my channel, if you just put a comment on the channel, I don't have a join button, but if you put a comment on there, then I can help you get set up as well.
All right, ladies.
And y'all, that is a game changer. You know why?
It really is. It really is that, I'm calling it leveled up because it is, we talk about community and the power of community and how important it is. But having that connection, it's almost like a physical connection, to be honest, because we see each other, we're talking back and forth, we're getting to know each other very, very well. So, it's building a tribe. So we would love to see you in there. All right, everybody. We will be back next week for another episode of Hey Sister Girl. Same time, same place, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.